Hello, welcome to the Capitol Report on NTD Television. I'm Steve Lance. President Biden will soon meet with House Speaker Kevin McCarthy to discuss the nation's borrowing capacity. But even as a deadline looms, the White House is showing little desire to agree to Republicans' demand on spending cuts. NTD's Iris Tao has more from the White House.
After months of standoff, President Biden and House Speaker Kevin McCarthy will finally come together in person to talk about the debt ceiling. The meeting, which is scheduled for Tuesday, May 9th, comes after Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen warned on Monday that a default could come as early as June if no action is taken. But the White House on Tuesday insisted that Biden would not negotiate with Republicans over their demand to cut spending in exchange for raising the nation's borrowing authority. Watch.
He is not going to negotiate on the debt ceiling. Been very clear. That is not going to change. The only practical path to avoid default is for Congress to suspend the debt limit without conditions.
The White House says Biden invited to the meeting the big four congressional leaders, which are Speaker McCarthy, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, as well as Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. All four have now accepted the invitation, but McConnell says there's no solution in the Senate, adding that Biden will have to either find a deal with McCarthy or accept the spending cuts put forward by House Republicans. But the Senate Majority Leader says
this is a hard right-wing wish list that everyone knows has no chance of passing.
Meanwhile, Republicans say Biden's offer to meet is long overdue.
This is long overdue.
There's been a stonewalling on the part of the White House saying we're just not going to talk about this. And guys, you have to talk about this. So much depends on getting a deal done.
And on the possibility of a short-term debt ceiling extension, Democrats say they don't want that, and the White House declines to comment, saying it does not want to negotiate in public. Reporting from the White House, Iris Tao, NTD News.
House Republicans today introducing the Secure the Border Act. Meanwhile, the Biden administration sending 1,500 active duty troops down to the southern border. This comes after the administration proposed opening migration processing centers in foreign nations. NTD's Arian Pazdar has the latest from Latin America.
Processing centers for migrants across the Western Hemisphere. That's what the Biden administration is proposing. Right now, people can only seek asylum once they've reached the United States. The administration says this would change through these centers, and people could seek refuge without leaving their home countries.
That's just not the way it works. This is a policy that this Biden administration has just basically invented.
Victor Avila is a former supervisory special agent for ICE and Homeland Security. He says due to current immigration law, asylum seekers aren't actually allowed to seek refuge outside of the U.S. Avila tells me it's possible that gangs and cartels could take over or influence these centers and use them for their own benefit.
The bad guys, the bad actors, are going to want to gain access and take advantage of these situations. And then before you know it, they're in your community in the United States as your neighbor, and we have to deal with those consequences.
However, when introducing the plan last week, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken explained that the idea can help guarantee migrant safety.
These centers will take a hugely important step to prevent people from making the dangerous journey to the border by providing a much safer legal option to migrate that they can pursue in and from their own countries.
NTD's Melina Weisskopf on Tuesday asked Texas Senator John Cornyn about the centers.
I think they have no idea what to do, and I have zero confidence that they're willing to deal with the problem.
Also on Tuesday, a reporter asked the White House why the Biden administration is sending 1,500 active duty troops to the southern border. The administration previously said the border is secure, but added today that more work needs to be done.
We put forth a comprehensive immigration legislation, and Congress, Republicans in Congress refused to act.
House Republicans on Tuesday introduced the Secure the Border Act of 2023. It would restart construction of the border wall, deploy technology, increase the number of Border Patrol agents, and more. The House is expected to vote on the bill next week. Arian Pazdar, NTD News.
Could Congress force Supreme Court justices to comply with a code of ethics? That's what some senators are pushing for as the Judiciary Committee probes the High Court earlier today. NTD's Melina Wisecup is on the Hill with more details. So, Melina, how are these senators framing this type of reform, and what kind of opposition are you hearing?
A group of senators, mainly Democrats, although there was Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski and Independent Senator Angus King in support of this. They're pushing to impose a code of ethics for Supreme Court justices. This is in the wake of reports of Justice Clarence Thomas participating in luxury vacations and engaging in a real estate deal with a top GOP donor. To that point, Senator Ted Cruz tells me he feels this is a personal attack on conservative Justice Thomas rather than a genuine effort to ensure ethics. Watch.
Are not examining the conduct of any of the Democrat justices. By any measure, Stephen Breyer took more than twice as many trips as Clarence Thomas, paid for by someone else's dime. This is a political descent into the gutter.
And while some say taking this action is a violation of the separation of powers, Democrats argue that the Supreme Court has proven time and time again that it cannot adequately govern itself, thus forced action by Congress is needed.
But there is no room to debate that the Supreme Court has the weakest ethics rules in federal government.
Until there is an honest ethics process at the Supreme Court, these messes will continue. The court has conclusively proven that it cannot police itself.
The issue remains, shouldn't the Supreme Court have a code of ethics? That's it. That's the issue.
And the two senators we just heard from, both Democrats, wrote a letter to the Appropriations Committee, that is the committee that writes up funding bills, urging them to include language in this year's funding bill that would force the Supreme Court to adopt a code of ethics, otherwise to lose $10 million in funding. Senator Josh Hawley tells me why he feels uncomfortable with this idea, saying that lawmakers should look at themselves.
So what are they going to do? We're going to get rid of this judicial recalcitrance by denying them security. If that isn't an assault on the independence of the judiciary, I don't know what is. But if you want a perfect example of this sort of insider dealing, where members of Congress get briefings nobody else gets, they're privy, that information gets summarized to them in a way it doesn't for any other American, and then they can buy and sell stocks on the basis of that? No way. We ought to ban that.
But pushing a bill like this right now would be difficult to get through the slimly divided Congress. Reporting in Washington, D.C., Melina Wisecup, NTD News.
Former President Trump staying active on the campaign trail. CNN saying Trump will appear for a live town hall next week. The CNN town hall will take place next Wednesday, May 10th, in the state of New Hampshire. Trump will take questions from Republicans and undeclared voters who are planning to participate in the GOP primary. This will be the former president's first town hall-style event of the 2024 campaign. The forums are a CNN tradition with presidential candidates, although Trump has often criticized the media outlet, specifically CNN, for what he calls fake news. Thank you for watching the Capitol Report. If you want to see our full broadcast, check us out at epochtv.com.